and watched it come down. And it made one last big pop, and then it crashed and exploded.
I was screaming, call 911, call 911.
I didn't realize that it was an airplane that was losing power. And then I heard a crash.
New details tonight after a small plane crashes into a mobile home, killing 3 people and devastating a neighborhood.
House was fully involved in fire, flames about 50 feet.
Tonight, we are hearing the pilot's final call.
I can't see the other airport. I'm losing engine.
This as neighbors who knew the people inside that home speak out for the first time.
They're a very nice lady. She comes down, she's a snowbird, comes down for a couple months out of the year.
From the investigation to the reaction and what's next, tonight we have live team coverage. Tonight, we are uncovering new information about what happened moments before this plane went down and how neighbors came together quickly to respond to this. This is 10 Tampa Bay at 6. I'm Courtney Robinson. Within the last 2 hours, police have confirmed there were as many as 9 people inside of that home last night. Minutes before the crash, all but 2 left. Investigators have confirmed those 2 people and the pilot were killed. That plane ran into trouble nearly an hour after taking off from Vero Beach last night. It was heading to the Clearwater Air Park when it crashed into the Bayside Waters mobile home community just before 7. That's where tonight neighbors are sharing new information with 10 Tampa Bay about who was involved. So from there, revelations to new details on the plane and the investigation. We do have team coverage. We begin with Dave Wagner live outside the mobile home park. Dave, it is a much different scene out there right now.
It is. It's been about 23 hours. We're right outside the Bayside Waters mobile home park here. It is a large community that's roughly about 3 miles north of the airport there. This is where the single-engine Beechcraft Bonanza V-35 went down, killing the pilot and 2 residents. You get one perspective from the ground and you get another from the air when you look from the air. This is the devastating scene today from Sky 10. The mobile home's unrecognizable. Just a few hours ago, we got a hold of the final call the pilot made to air traffic control just before 7 last night. You can hear him say he's having engine problems.
I can't see the other airport. I'm losing engine.
They went down hard. They're in flames. He is definitely into a house. The whole house looks like it's demolished.
As the NTSB investigates, it is an emotional time for the people living here in the Bayside Waters community. They have lost neighbors, and many of them still can't believe how close they were to being killed last night. 10 Tampa Bay's Eric Glasser has been speaking with people today who live here just about minutes away from an even greater tragedy. Eric?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. As people were consoling each other today, we started to hear this emerging story about just how many people were inside that same mobile home just minutes before this crash. As I had an opportunity to start to speak with neighbors today, many of them started telling me the same thing, that there was apparently a golf outing that had taken place yesterday, and several of those people, maybe about 10 of them, had come back to this one mobile home to have drinks together and socialize for a bit. I'm told that somewhere between just 15 and 30 minutes before the crash, 8 of those people left, 2 stayed behind.
There had been approximately 8 others, I believe. They were having a few drinks after a golf outing, and they were done, and like 8 of them left, and Martha said that, the other woman said that she was going to leave, but she was going to finish her drink. And this was like 15 minutes after the group left that this happened.
You can only imagine how emotional a day this has been for folks who not only lost their friends, but were that close to being killed in this tragedy as well. Many of them, by the way, also credited the local police and fire departments for how quickly they responded and helped to keep those flames from spreading to neighboring homes.
As soon as we seen it happen, we got on a golf cart and came over to where it happened at, and it wasn't minutes later the police and the fire trucks were here.
One of the gentlemen that you saw there earlier, Richard Renner, he told me that he's a former volunteer firefighter from upstate New York, and even though he was on the scene in seconds, he says there was nothing anyone could do. By that point, he says the property was unrecognizable and that you could barely even tell that there had been a plane involved. The woman who rents the property, he said he described as a close friend of his that he has known for years, a snowbird who would come down and rent that mobile home for a couple of months at a time. He says he and his neighbors are just devastated. Dave?
Yeah, Eric, this is a really friendly community. It's also a tight-knit community. These people aren't just neighbors, they're also friends. Do you know if they're planning anything at all?
Yes, actually, I'm told that they are. They would like to hold some sort of memorial or ceremony out here. They're just waiting for the investigation to wrap up. The FAA, as you know, the NTSB has been on scene. They want this out of here. They want to be able to console each other. And yes, then at appropriate time in the future, they said they would like to be able to get together and hold something in the memory of those that were lost. Reporting live in Clearwater, Eric Lasser, 10 Tampa Bay.
All right, Eric, while police have not officially released the names of those involved here, we do know the airplane left from Vero Beach, Florida, and was set to land at the Clearwater Air Park, just 3 miles from where the plane crashed. And that's where we find our 10 Investigates reporter, Jennifer Titus, where, Jen, you have been digging into this crash all day long. What can you tell us?
Yeah, this plane, Dave, was a 1979 single-engine Beechcraft Bonanza. Aviation experts tell me it can be a complicated plane to fly. As you see at this air park behind me, I'm told it can also be complicated for planes to fly into at dark. And it's all because it's an uncontrolled air park, meaning it's up to the pilot to turn the runway lights on himself. I spoke to a mechanic that was here at the airstrip last night. He says the plane flew parallel right over, but if the lights weren't on, it would have looked like a dark hole. Aviation expert Mark Weinkrantz says it's all something the National Transportation Safety Board will be looking into.
There'll be a 24-hour report which may simply state that the airplane was a total loss and these lives were lost, but then they have up to a year to go ahead and get the final report. There's a lot of details involved. They'll examine every nut and bolt that they find and reassemble the airplane as best they can and dig into the history as best they can as well.
And back out here live, we are told, as you just heard, that this investigation, Dave, could take an entire year until we fully know what went wrong.
Yeah, and we should point out here that NTSB investigators, Jen, have already been out here on scene.
Yeah, I'm told they got out there. They're going to examine the entire scene, see if they can put any of the nuts and bolts back together. Then they will take that plane to a secure facility, and that's where they will finish the investigation, focusing on main parts like the mechanics and the pilot. Dave?
Yep, they want to preserve evidence on scene, so they get here quickly while NTSB investigators gather evidence. They are looking for your help. If you have any information, pictures, or video, investigators would like to hear from you. I do know that there's a lot of information. I want to talk about a quick recap for you right here. The plane went down just before 7 o'clock last night after reporting engine issues. The pilot and 2 people on the ground were killed. Investigators have not released their identities at this point. We will have crews out here all night long bringing you the very latest information through our free 10 Tampa Bay app and tonight on Nightside starting at 11 o'clock.